Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Inside the Coaches podcast. My name is Coach Brian Barnes, and normally I'm with my esteemed colleague, Tom Murphy Jr., but he has the day off today, so I will be running the show myself. But I am extremely excited to introduce a good coaching friend of mine and just a great human being, one of my favorite people in the world, Coach Avante Mitchell, who is currently the head football coach at Olivet Nazarene University. I hope I said that right, Coach. Thank you for being here today.
Brian, thank you so much for being here, for having me, rather. And I appreciate the kind intro. And yes, you nailed it. Olivet Nazarene University. You said that perfectly correct. I'm honored to be here with you and looking forward to spending a little time with you today.
Outstanding. Now, you and I go back. Gosh, I was thinking about this before we started talking today. 2009, 2010, maybe back when we were young bucks and still not feeling our age as much as we do now, a little bit the closer we get to 50. But I know you had an extensive history coaching in the state of Michigan as well. But even before that, playing high school football at Detroit DePores High School, and then going on to play college ball. So if you could take me through your journey a little bit, your playing days with Coach Carter, one of the best coaches in the state of Michigan, who's still going today, and then you're transitioning to the next level playing, and then the opportunity to get into coaching. What was that like for you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, wow, you're right. Well, we do go way back to our Detroit Lions youth camp days and high school coaching and things of that nature. But going back to my roots, I would say that it definitely stems from my dad. My dad, who recently passed this past summer, but he was a 40-year veteran coach in the area, high school, little league, and also college with me. I would actually leave my high school practice when I was at DePores and leave my high school practice and go to my dad's little league practices, where he had me began to train quarterbacks. I was playing quarterback at the time, played quarterback throughout my entire career, and then I did play for Coach Thompson, who was our head coach at DePores, and Coach Carter was our assistant head coach at the time. So, my roots go way back with that DePores tree. I wound up graduating from Detroit Northwestern and then went on to Louisville for college, played quarterback there. Like I say, I watched Chris Redman play ball there, and then transferred back home to Wayne State shortly thereafter.
Yeah, we're definitely aging ourselves. I remember watching Chris Verman then. Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Small world. So, from there, when I came back from school, when I was came back from Louisville, my dad he needed someone he could trust, so he taught me defense. He said I need someone to run my defense, and started coaching high school ball JV over at Ecorse High School under Dennis Parker at the time, and kind of went through the ranks there. From Ecorse to Groves High School. I was at Groves for a few years. Varsity assistant coach, JV head coach. From there, went to UD Jesuit, assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. So I've always, through the high school time, I was always a defensive coordinator and a quarterbacks coach through my time in high school. And then I landed in my final stop at the high school ranks was over at East Detroit, which is now called East Point High School, where I was the assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach as well there. And from there, I made the jump. I was blessed to make the jump to go to the college ranks. My first stop was at Concordia University in Ann Arbor. I believe that was 2011 when I started out there. I was there for a couple years. Became the interim head coach there, recruiting coordinator, defensive coordinator there in my tenure in Ann Arbor. And from there, I went to Taylor University, which is in Indiana in the same conference, and I was a defensive coordinator there for 3 years. We had some great seasons there. Did a lot of great things there, and I was blessed to come back home to Michigan and be the defensive backs coach at Northwood University, which is Division II GLIAC, right in Midland, Michigan. Was there for 3 years as well. And after that stop, I became the defensive coordinator at Lawrence Tech University in the summer of 2019. And then February of 2020, I became the head coach at Lawrence Tech. And 3 weeks later, the world shut down due to COVID. And I was the head coach there for the next, 3 seasons or so. And for no January 2024, just completed my first year as a head coach here at Olivet Nazarene University in Bourbonnais, Illinois, which is about 45 minutes south of South Chicago.
Coach, that's an awesome journey. It's funny in life, but especially in coaching, right? Like we think we all have it figured out, but like this game and circumstances change and you never know how things play out and where you're going to end up. And it's pretty cool. That's a great story. I know you mentioned your dad and the impact he had on you. I think, by the way, Tony Dungy had a similar experience in terms of he was a quarterback growing up in high school and then he became a defensive genius, right? And so you are
Yeah.
you are kind of like Tony Dungy in that regard. But so you mentioned your dad a lot as a mentor, and then you mentioned Coach Carter and Coach Thompson. Who else in your life has been, that positive coaching mentor in your life, or maybe not even from a coaching perspective, just guys that you looked up to, or women that you look up to, people in your life that really made an impact on you and who you are today?
That's a great question, Brian. I humbly smile and appreciate the comparison to Tony Dungy, but I'm a ways off from the great Tony Dungy. But I would say in life, outside of my dad, of course, my mom, she's been a great, influence in my life. But my uncle, who's also my pastor, has really probably the greatest leader that I know, one of the greatest men that I know. He's been a huge blessing to me, Austin Mitchell. So that has been a huge influence. He's been a huge influence in my life. From a coaching standpoint, I have, like yourself, we're both students of the game, students of life. I'm always eager to learn and trying to stretch ourselves. So I have been blessed to be mentored by quite a few different men in life. I would say, for instance, Brian McKenzie, who is the FCA regional director for football in the Midwest of America. He's been a great impartation into my life actually within the last 5 years. Tony Anise, head coach at Fair State University, is a great mentor of mine as well. He's always available, take a phone call from me, and kind of pouring to me his advice, things of that nature. I've been blessed. Jess Stugart is the head coach at Lindenwood University in Missouri, so St. Louis, Missouri. Another great man who has, taken time out of his life to kind of imparting to me as well. And there have been many others. Many others, I've always been able to pick up the phone or drive over to Oak Park High School and sit down and with Coach Carter at times and just kind of pick his brain on things and just a level of knowledge that he has. He is actually high school teammate. He was a quarterback, and my father was a wide receiver at Detroit McKenzie High School. So they came up together. So it's just kind of a cool thing, kind of that family ties there. So I've been blessed to have a few special people in my life, and there's others I haven't mentioned, but it's just an honor to be able to not be the best person in your circle so that you can grow and learn from others.
Absolutely. So one of the cool things you mentioned with all those guys, and I think that's a super important attribute as a head coach, is every one of those guys you mentioned that they would be there for you, right? And so serving others
Hmm.
as a head coach, like sometimes there's a belief system in our society that being a leader and being in charge and being a head coach is about being demanding, right, and things like that. It's really about serving those around us, your players and your assistant coaches, and helping others. So it's pretty neat that all those guys you mentioned, you said that at some point they're were of service to you and they get that, so they're obviously really good leaders. Now, you talked a little bit about playing quarterback as a kid and then at Louisville and then transitioning to coaching with defense. And I'm curious, does the play in the quarterback position, like, has that helped you become a better defensive coach? Has that helped you, understanding defenses more? Because you obviously can think like a quarterback when you do it. And then, I guess take it another step, and you could take this question. It's kind of a long-winded, open-ended question, but like, do you have a preference? Like, what do you like more, offensive, defensive strategy, that sort of thing? Because, as a head coach, like, and again, as we get older, like you said, students of the game, we watch a lot of football. Like, in theory, we should be able to coach anything to a degree. We should
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
pretty competent on both sides of the ball. And I remember, hearing stories when I was younger about, Bill Belichick at some point, who's considered a defensive guru, like taking over offensive play calling and stuff like that for the Patriots one year. And I remember thinking like, gosh, how is that possible? But it's because that guy's so smart and he studied so much and knows football. So, take me through that however you want to go with it, kind of open ended again, offense and defense. And like, what are your thoughts there?
That's a great question, Brian. Again, I would I think I would give this to my dad again. He saw something in me being a an offensive player, like you said, been trained. I mean, all the way up through the ranks. I played quarterback. So learning, the offensive side of the ball, understanding the strategies, and he was a great offensive strategist as well. So when he decided to teach me defense, I didn't know that it was I already had an eye for certain things, and it came natural. It came natural. So it was a very easy transition for me because I do love offense. I do love, putting defenses in conflict, so on and so on like that. But being able to kind of get, behind the mic, behind the clipboard, and kind of feeling what an offensive coordinator wants to do to attack a defense, it has helped me. And I've been blessed. Like I said, I've, been a defensive coordinator. Outside of my two tenures right now, I've been a head coach for the majority of my career. I've been on the defensive side of the ball like that, and just being able to understand what I guess the MO for the offensive coordinator and the offense's approach is has helped me decipher those things and understand leverage, box count, bonus players, force, all those things like that, and the coverages, of course, and the rolling coverages, things of that nature. So it's been a great help to me in my growth as a coach. And now, being a head coach for, I don't know what I think I'm going on my fifth or sixth year now. I'm back coaching quarterbacks now. So I've coached tight ends a few years ago, quarterbacks last couple years, and going back into quarterbacks this year. Now I'm kind of cutting my teeth back again on the offensive side of the ball, and it's just kind of like it's a an amazing thing to kind of visualize the game conceptually from both sides of the ball.
So at your current so you're at your current spot right now, Olivet, like Nazarene, and at your level, the way your staff is structured, you are coaching a position. You also have a full-time position in turn as well as your head coach responsibilities.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I'm the quarterbacks coach. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, you busy guy. Yeah, you know, yeah,
Yes.
that's good. So you're not the prototypical head coach that everybody thinks of at that level, right? That just kind of walks around and monitors everything. Like you're right in it. Yeah.
Yes, have to be, especially at our level, because
Hmm.
the amount of full-time staff, we have a total of five full-timers, so it's not like a Division I staff where we got 11 or 12 staffers that are there 24/7, so on and so on like that. So you've got to be creative with how you break up the staff responsibilities. And I think that it's also important for me to, A, kind of, keep my coaching chops going. It gives me connection with the players directly instead of just from the head coach's seat. And also, I think it's personally, I think it's the most important position in sport, the quarterback position.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think I heard John Gruden say that if you want to be a play caller, then you need to coach quarterbacks because you that's like being another head coach or having a coach on the field with that
Hmm.
quarterback spot. So you have an outstanding offensive coordinator who came with you, Keith Beckham. How is your relationship? How does that dynamic work in terms of you being the head coach and coaching an offensive position of the ball? I'm sure like you guys have worked together for a few years. I'm sure the relationship is pretty positive and you guys are able to bounce ideas off each other. Take me through, if you don't mind, like how does game planning look like for you guys in terms of offensively, how much you suggest and then how much you allow Keith to do as your coordinator?
Yeah. So first off, we have a phenomenal relationship. I'm blessed that he was willing to come with me to Olivet from Lawrence Tech, moving his family and kind of coming over to Illinois. So that was but definitely honored that he accepted my invitation there. And it's been great. I mean, this past season, I think we averaged close to 33 points a game. Just seeing the development and the growth within our offense over the past few years has been amazing to see. Getting the pieces in that we need to run the offense the way he sees it. I'm a huge person on authority and transference of authority. So although I am the head coach, I coach my coaches to be the head coach of their position rooms, the head coach of their units, of their coordinators, so on like that. So I do take second seat to him as it relates to our offense. Now, of course, being the head coach, if I need to step in and make a veto here or there, I will. But I do my best not to do those things. I look at myself as a student, an apprentice to him within our offense because he is the mastermind of our offense and how we do things. So that's a great relationship there. I'm a visual learner. So I love, things I can see, I can learn. So, and I'm always, looking at football clips, watching film, this, that, and the other. So there are a ton of suggestions that I send over to Keith, via Twitter, DMs or text message or emails or, online clinics. I mean, Brian, how we, over the years, we've comprised large libraries of just football stuff like that. So I try to give quality input that fits our scheme and it's not just random things because I believe, you have some maybe play callers or offensive systems that are just comprised of a bunch of plays per se. But
Mhm.
then I think the great ones are systems, and
Mhm.
those systems are built a certain way for a certain reason to attack a defense for a primary cause. So I think I've grown as an assistant offensive coach over the years to give quality input that fits our offense and our makeup of our offense.
That's pretty cool. As I get older as a coach, I find that like one of my strengths, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I do think I do a good job of calling plays. And honestly, it's not really, in my opinion, nothing more than preparation and like recognizing the situations. And you've been through so many different situations that I already intuitively kind of know in my mind what we're gonna call, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't work all the time, but I think we know how to put our team in the best position to be successful in that situation. And yeah, it comes with preparation. And then you mentioned how you're always giving Keith ideas. It's pretty cool the development of my staff right now. We've got some younger guys and some inexperienced guys who this has been our first off season together, and they've been sending me stuff, and I think it's great, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not and sometimes they, oh, coach, I hope I'm not overstepping anything, and I've said there's nothing like that. Like you're thinking football
Mhm.
and you're trying to make us better. I'm going to listen to what you have to say and we'll talk about it. Like, that's great. Like, I want guys to do that. So that's awesome that you guys have that relationship.
Yeah. Let me jump in here too. I think this is cool too. I just learned this about Keith about 6 months ago. We were talking about game planning and things of that nature, and Keith is a very systematic, scientific like thinker. Um, But he said, Coach, you know what I was thinking about our game planning and the flow, this, that, and the other. He said, this is the one area in my life is more artistic. So it's like it's film upon film upon film, hours and hours and hours right there. And we're, from Sunday through Tuesday, we're getting after this, that, and the other. And I'm very linear in my thinking. I'm taking notes, outline, and this, that, and the other. And so we approach it from maybe different ways. But he said, Coach, I guess this is an art form for me, and I have to be inspired. And when I see it at some point within that 48-hour window, it clicks. And then when it clicks, then we're rolling. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty cool because on the flip side of that coin, my defensive coordinator, Terrence Wilson, very systematic, very, very methodical like that. So it's two different approaches, but the end results are great on both ends. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. And like you want, when I'm sure maybe this wasn't your thinking when you put your staff together, but like you want to have different types of guys on your staff, right? You don't want everybody
Hmm.
thinking the same and doing it the same way because when everybody brings different ideas or has a different approach to doing things, it just makes everybody better. And
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned Terrence because I was going to talk about him next really quick. Like obviously, like we go back a little bit, similar time frame as well, 2009, 2010, and you guys have been friends for quite a long time. How is your you have an ultimate trust with Terrence. How is your guys' relationship in that regard? Is it similar? You don't pull the head coach veto card that often. Talk to me about that dynamic.
Yeah, it's basically so first and foremost, yes, I trust him. Well, a joke is I tell him I trust you with how I feed my kids, like that. So that trust is definitely there. Um I will say that I try to have the same approach to kind of be as as much a support as I can be. So my mission is to serve our coaches so that our coaches can serve our players, so we can position them to be the best people and players they can be the best team we can be like that. So I like to lead our staff, mentor our staff, connect with our staff, but then also be man enough and smart enough, I guess I say, to get out of the way and let them go be great. Like that's the term we use, go be great within our program all the time. And that's the mission I do with all of our coaches, coordinators, Terrence. I will say this internally, it's probably harder because of me being a defensive guy like that. So
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I have to be very intentional on kind of staying out of the way and just kind of put my 2 cents in here and there. I don't want us to falter anywhere like that, but he does a great job with his defensive staff, and I'm not entrenched in the trenches with him as much as I am with the offensive staff. So it kind of, I think it's a very good balance. I think if I had more time on my hands, I'd probably be more in his sauce and more in the mix there defensively. So I think it worked out pretty good.
Perfect. That's too funny. So like we talked about, your roots are in Michigan, and you've had an opportunity to coach high school football in Michigan. And, the purpose of creating this podcast a few years ago is we really wanted to give, not just high school coaches and parents and families, and really anybody outside the state, because we have listeners from all over, kind of talk about all the good things that we have going in the state of Michigan. And, your experience in Michigan, coaching here. Talk to me a little bit about how you view Michigan high school football, because obviously in the recruiting process with your college coaching experience, you've probably been all over the country recruiting guys. In your opinion, how does Michigan stack up to some of the best high school football in the country?
A great question. Great question. I've got great pride, respect, and honor just to be a former Michigan high school football coach. Being from Detroit, Michigan, my roots there, and seeing the development of Michigan high school football. I think that it ranks very high. I think that you can look at, I was looking at something. I don't know, maybe about 3 months ago. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the state of Michigan is the third highest ranked state with NFL players, if I'm not mistaken, in the
Wow.
country, like that. So, and somewhere between maybe fifth, maybe, but top five, I'm pretty confident it's top five on that stat. And kind of seeing that alone speaks to the level of talent within the state of Michigan. Number one, I think that's huge. But I will say this, I think that it's really cool to see the growth and maturation and diversity within the success of high school football within the last 10 to 15 years. Because you can go back maybe a quarter century ago, 25 years ago, and you probably had a smaller pocket or pool of certain teams, certain pockets. If I put a mitten up on the screen here and kind of went to the different locations, and there were concentrations just in certain areas and from certain programs per se. But now you look at the diverse success from Division 8 up to Division 1, and it's pretty cool to see. And I think that speaks to the high school coaches, what they've put into their relationships and rapport with the student athletes, but then B, their level of knowledge and what they're putting into learning the game of football. I can go to the AFCA convention, and that's predominantly, college, but there's high school coaches there, and there's coaches from Michigan there. You look at the Glacier lineups, there's coaches from Michigan all over the Midwest and even down south speaking at Glacier clinics or just going to attend. And to me, and as a high school coach, that's what I prided myself on when I was really learning the game of football, just devouring football. How much football can I learn? What clinics can I go to? What conferences can I go to? Who can I call? This, that, and the other. And I guess I say that to say, I see that with the Michigan high school coaches across the board, which is pretty cool to see.
That is cool. And it's funny. Like I remember growing up and then playing, and then in the very early 2000s, I worked as a student assistant at Wayne State, and talking to some of the buddies there and the guys on staff who were from the Detroit area. And I remember at that time, I don't think a Detroit high school, won a state championship up until Martin Luther King did. And I can't remember what year that was, but now like
PSL high school outside of
PSL.
Detroit.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. My bad. My
But
bad.
no, you're absolutely right though. You're absolutely right.
Now the level of coaching, like those guys are awesome. Some of the best coaching in the state, like Marvin Rushing at Cass Tech, who's a great guy, has done awesome things there. It's been outstanding, and so that's not the case anymore. I think that, and I just think that's helped in the development of the state of Michigan Michigan. And then the western part of the state of Michigan is always, has great
Yep,
coaching and always has great teams
absolutely.
and great players. And so I agree with you that development specifically just in the last 10 to 15 years
Hmm.
is really took off. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're doing great things here in the state of Michigan. We're excited about
Um,
our association. We're doing good things and
yeah.
we're really excited
I,
about
I
that.
I think the one thing I would add to that, I think the coaches are doing everything that they can. I think if the Michigan high school administrators would kind of view it with a little more, I guess, tenacity, because that's the one, I guess that would be that dividing line between, say, Michigan and Texas or even Ohio or, some of the southern states there. The administrators are 1,000% bought in and see the duality of academics and sports being hand in hand, not one or the other.
100%. There's
Mhm.
like, you ask any person who works in a school district when your football team is good, right? That sets the tone for the entire school year, and everybody feels
Absolutely.
it. And I'm a PE guy. I like all sports. I have three daughters. They're involved with everything, and like, but there's something different when your football team is good and your
Right.
football team and people are bought in, and that just again kicks off the school year and helps you support everybody in every sport, and that's awesome. I agree with you there. All right, I want to transition really quick, Coach. This has been great talking with Coach Avante Mitchell from Olivet Nazarene University here on Inside the Coaches podcast. Talk to me a little bit about your current situation at Olivet Nazarene. Obviously, this is now going to be your third season there.
Second.
Second season, okay, second season
Hmm.
there. Talk to me if you could a little bit like your philosophy there, all the great things you're doing there. Why Olivet Nazarene, and talk to me a little bit about your program.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, number one, Olivet Nazarene University. We are an NAIA institution, so we're scholarship ball. Again, we're the most southern city. Bourbon, Illinois is the most southern city that's still considered a part of Chicagoland area. So we have, great transit and commute between us and, Midway and O'Hara airports, downtown city of Chicago, but we're on the outskirts enough where we are our own, I guess, regional area per se. We are a Christian university, a part of the Nazarene doctrine. Very, very devout Christian university, a great school. We have over 150 majors. I would say we specialize in nursing, education, business will become our three, and also engineering, our four primary areas of study there. We play in the Mid-States Football Association, which I believe is the best conference within the country in the NAI. If I'm not mistaken, I think our conference has won six national championships out of the last, 15 years and been in nine national championship games as well. So, and that's not just from one team, it's from multiple schools within that stretch there. And it is just it's a meat grinder. It is a meat grinder. It's a great conference, great coaching, great competition. So we are blessed to be a part of the Mid-States Football Association Midwest side of the conference. Our mission is to win the West every year. Um, I think that I was blessed to land here at Olivet because my core belief system from a spiritual standpoint and a character integrity standpoint, all those areas align 100% with the university. So it was an easy transition for me, easy fit for me there. We are within our football program and our culture within our program. We have a few things that kind of make up who we are, what we believe in. R837, you guys, you'll see that on our social media, on our sleeves of our clothing, things of that nature, stands for Romans 8:37, which states that nay in all things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. And then verses, 38 and 39 go on to speak to there's nothing that can separate us from the love of God. So that is a foundational piece right there within our culture. And then we have a few other things that we believe in: being real men, rejecting passivity, expecting greater reward, accepting responsibility, and leading courageously, um, trust, love, and compete. And then we want everyone within our program to be compelled. That's something that is very, very important to us, being compelled. And then our one team rules protect the team. So, I won't get into all the depth of the details of all those things there, but those things right there are the foundation of the culture within our football program, and we truly believe it's a football family. Love is our foundation. We want to build things on top of that. We think that's a great motivator. But we want to be excellent in everything that we do, how we, go with our day-to-day lives, how we attack the game of football, and, the way we approach things. We want to be extremely competitive at all things. So, it's fun. It's fun. It's a great program, great school. Please look us up. We do recruit nationally. We do have a priority for kind of the Illinois area. Of course, we want to put a fence around the state. But if you are a good student and you're a good football player and you fit our program, we'll come get you. We will come get you. So, yes, sir. All right. And then for our camps that we've got quite a few camps coming up. We have a mega camp actually. We're really excited. Our first mega camp. It will be Thursday, June 5th, right on our campus. And that's going to be right at Warfield, right at our stadium. Got a beautiful camp. We have 4 practice fields, beautiful game stadium. Our facilities are amazing at our university. I think that we have, seriously, um, upper echelon facilities. We were blessed that the Chicago Bears have trained at our site for 17 years up into COVID. And then things kind of transitioned like many things did during COVID time, but we're blessed. Chicago Bears have blessed us with many great facilities and resources, things of that nature. So I'm excited to kind of jump into as we come out of our spring season now. We're going to spring ball this upcoming week. That'll run for about a month, and then like I said, we'll move into our recruiting and camp season, which will pop it off with our mega camp, again, which will be Thursday, June 5th on campus. From there, we will have team camps. Actually, high school teams from Illinois, Indiana, surrounding areas will come kind of plant their tents on campus for a few days. They have padded practices, things of that nature. And then once we get into the month of July, we'll have a 7-on-7 showcase mid-July. I think that's the 17th of July, if I'm not mistaken, there. And we will be out and about at all the regional camps, things that the summer, the prospect camps, things of that nature as well. So you're looking forward to the summer.
Coach, the best way to find this information as well in terms of registering and stuff, could players and coaches, I assume just go to the school website or just Google that, recruiting
Absolutely.
questionnaires, things like that. Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Yep, excellent. We will, when we promote the show and get it out to all our listeners, I'll make sure to include all that information for you. And then what is your personal Twitter handle if you want to share it with everybody? And then maybe the Olivet Nazarene football Twitter handle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My personal Twitter handle is Coach A Mitchell 1. And then our football Twitter handle is ONAZ for Olivet Nazarene. So ONAZ. Let me make sure there's no underscore there. Let's see here. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, it's just ONAZ football. And I'll take you right to our site, right to our Twitter page, and we're on Instagram, TikTok, all those things. I couldn't tell you those things there. I barely use social media, but I do use Twitter heavily. Yes, sir.
Perfect. You guys will obviously put out more of your camp information and things like that, on Twitter and on social media for
Hmm.
all of our listeners and coaches as well. So, Coach, we've been talking for close to 40 minutes. This has been great. So I greatly appreciate you coming on here. I know you mentioned before that you haven't had, you're a busy college level guy listening to our podcast. So we do a cool thing at the end. So I'm going to put you on
Okay.
the spot a little bit
Okay.
for all the listeners. So is there something unique to you that you've done coaching wise in your career that you could share with everybody? So that sounds kind of a bland question, but hear me out. Is there a special drill, or is there a special, we're going to break on 3 and say this, or is there a special motto or quote that's something that when you think of Coach Mitchell, Like that's what you think of, you know. And again, I think of me. So like in my last stop at Bishop Foley, it was Foley on 3, family on 6 kind of thing, right? And so that always stuck with me. So now at my stop Waterford Kettering, it's I say go green, all my players yell go white. You know, it's pretty cool. So something cool like that. So is there anything that you can think of that pertains specifically or stands out for you that you could share with all our listeners?
That's a great question, Brian.
I told you
Uh,
I was put you on the spot. I couldn't give you we do that
I
to
love it.
everybody. I couldn't give you any warning.
I love it. I love it. You know what I think? If especially if you ask my players who've played for me over the years, we speak about like being allergic to average, hating average, our desire to excel, to be great. So it's something that I've said for years. I'm a big stimulus response guy, kind of similar to the kind of things you just mentioned. So I will say hate average, and my team responds be great. And that's something we may hit that thing 3 times, it may echo through the city, whatever the case may be. But that's something that not just on breakdowns, but once you go to our Twitter page, you'll see that it's one of our hashtags there. But that's something that really resonates with me. So I think that's something from I guess a saying standpoint. I think that's something that would stand out.
Coach, that's freaking awesome. If I could just put it lightly. I've had guys come play for you. I've had guys recruited by you, man. You do a fantastic job. I greatly appreciate you being here today on our podcast. And if there's anything else we can do for you, or you want to be a guest again, please, we'd love to have you. It'd be awesome. I know you're gonna, about to start cranking it up and get really busy, but if there's anything I could do for you, I know I keep saying, and I tell my staff like, hey, we got to go to Olivet, Nazarene and see those guys. And I haven't done it yet. Like, it's not always
Uh-huh.
easy when you have high school age kids, right, who are
Oh
busy with
yeah.
their sports, but I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to make it a point to come see you
Okay.
guys. So for
Yeah.
sure. Thanks again. Is there anything final you'd like to say before we finish up?
Uh, Brian, I just want to tell you congratulations on all your success. Of course, we come through the ranks together, and I always keep my eyes on you, and I'm always, rooting for you. And just, from the Coach of the Year awards to the Catholic League success to now being at my, just all the things you've done, and just me watch your grind over the years. I'm honored that you would have me on your podcast today, so thank you for that. I appreciate our friendship and rapport. And keep being great, man. Keep being great. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you said Waterford Mott. I'm actually at Kettering. Huge difference. If
My
you said,
apologies.
oh
My
man,
apologies. My apologies.
we can't mistake the two in our
We
community. Trust
cannot.
me.
We
No,
cannot.
I,
My
I
apologies.
respect
Yes.
those guys. No, but that's all good, coach. So
No.
just
Yeah.
and to finish, just a reminder for our listeners, we're always looking for guests. If you know of a coach or someone that would like to be a guest on our show, just again, you can find me on social media. You can find us on social media. My Twitter handle is at Coach Barnes20, or you can email me, Coach Barnes 2020 at gmail.com. And with that, coach, thanks again. I appreciate it. We'll finish this episode. And until next time, everybody have a great day.
All right. Take care.